asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityurma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness unto light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Om apyayantu mamangani vak prana chakshu shrotram matho balamindriyani cha sarvani sarvam brahmaupanishadam maham brahma nirakuryam ma brahma nirakarod anirakaranam astu anirakaranam mestu tadatmani nirateya upanishatsu dharmas te mai santu om shanti shanti shanti. May my limbs, speech, vital force, eyes, ears, as also strength, and all the organs become well developed. Everything is the Brahman revealed in the Upanishads. May I not deny Brahman, may not Brahman deny me. Let there be no spurning of me by Brahman, let there be no rejection of Brahman by me. May all the virtues that are spoken of in the Upanishads repose in me, who am engaged in the pursuit of self-knowledge. May they repose in me. Om. Peace, peace, peace. The theme of this retreat is you. It is the self. It's an inquiry into who or what we are, our true nature. Vedanta tells us, Upanishads, Vedanta tells us that we are deeply mistaken in error of our true nature. And what this true nature is, that is the subject of inquiry here. In fact, the subject is the subject of inquiry here. And we are promised that if we follow through with this inquiry, if we come to the conclusion of this inquiry, the results are great. This very Upanishad will tell us. Tremendous is the result of those who attain to this knowledge in this very life. And those who do not attain to this knowledge in this life, great is the loss, tremendous is the loss. It's in this very Upanishad, which we will see. The Upanishad which I am going to use as a basis for this retreat, just a part of it. It is the Kena Upanishad. A very ancient and very remarkable Upanishad. It's a very fun Upanishad also. It's full of paradoxical language, twists, dramatic twists and turns, and amazing insights at almost every mantra, every verse of the Upanishads. It takes its name from the first word, Kena. In Sanskrit it means by what or by whom or by what. So it starts with that. I will start with the question. These Upanishads are often, almost always, in the form of questions and answers. It's somebody who has an inquiry, a question, and the teaching is in the form of an answer. It's in the form of a dialogue between the teacher and the taught, between the guru and the disciple, master and the student. We don't know who the guru is here, we don't know who the student is, but clearly there is a student and a teacher. And the student starts with a question. And we will appreciate the question first. It's a remarkable question. And very interesting because it's about the most interesting subject in the universe for us. I, me, myself. So, here goes. Here is the first mantra, which is the question, the student's question. Om keneshitam patati preshitam mana kena prana prathama praiti yuktaha keneshitam vacham imam vadanti Chakshu Shrotram Kaudeva Yunakti. I'm using this book by Swami Gambhiranandaji, who was the 11th president of our order, a tremendous scholar of Vedanta, and the translation of the authoritative texts into English, very precise and clear translations. So I'm using the translation by Gambhiranandaji. What is this question? Willed by whom does this mind get directed towards its object? And this is a sort of fancy way of saying, how am I thinking? This experience of thinking. We are thinking of stuff. How am I thinking? Being directed by whom does the vital force which precedes all proceed towards its work? Basically prana. Prana means the vital forces keeping this body alive. So, what is behind the prana? What is at the source of this life force? By whom is this speech willed that people utter? Then I'm speaking. We are all speaking. How is this happening? Who is the effulgent being who directs the eyes and the ears? I'm seeing, I'm hearing. How is this happening? So let us first appreciate the question. The Upanishads all start with these profound questions. The Katha Upanishad starts with the question of the little boy Nachiketa to the Lord of Death, the King of Death. What is death? What happens after death? Old question. The Mundaka Upanishad starts with the question, Sir, what is that by knowing which everything is known? Chandogya Upanishad starts with this question also. In the 6th chapter of Chandogya Upanishad, the student Shvetaketu is asked by his father, did you learn that by knowing which everything is known? And this Upanishad starts with the question, how do I think? What is this thinking? Thinking, willing, feeling, imagining, remembering, all our Am I audible to you at the back? Yeah. No? Are you okay? Our internal life, emotions, memory, desire, likes and dislikes, understanding, all of this, how is it happening? Our sensory life, I'm seeing, I'm hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, all the 5 senses, when they're operating, these experiences, sensory experiences, how is it happening? Life itself. What's deeper than life itself? So these are the questions. And these are really fundamental questions. When we hear these questions, we say, yeah, great question. Now we need to know the answer. We need to jump ahead to the answer. We are very eager to know the answer. And I was also eager to know the answer. Until a philosopher, a very great philosopher of Indian philosophy, I think one of the greatest minds in Indian philosophy living today, Professor Arindam Chakravarti. He said to me once, Maharaj, stay with the question. Before you eagerly jump forward to the answer, stay with the question. Appreciate the question. Let the question soak into you. Let it become our question. Let us understand and, savor the question in all its implications, in all its dimensions. Often I have seen, as I started doing that, and after studying Vedanta also, when you go back to the question from which the Upanishad started, when you go back to the question from which Vedanta started, after having studied Vedanta, practiced it years and years, you begin to see the answer was already there in the question, in a seed form. It's just developed in the text later. The questions are amazing. So let's stay with this question for a moment. This question is about consciousness. Now, notice what this question does. First, it directs our attention back to ourselves. You're seeing, right? Yeah, I'm seeing. You're hearing, right? Yes, I am hearing. Pay attention to this seeing. Which seeing? Any seeing. This one right now. Pay attention to this hearing. What's going on here? What does it feel like? This seeing, this hearing. Savor it. And then very quickly we notice many things about it. One thing we notice is seeing is very different from hearing. You see, it's seeing. See what it feels like to see. Close your eyes and listen. So different from seeing. And we breathe in and breathe out the prana. So different from seeing and hearing. And then we go into our inner life. A thought, A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4. I am Sarvapriyananda, whatever this inner life is. Thoughts, memories. That's so different from our sensory experiences. And yet, by now we will be noticing there is something common to all of it. There is one thing common to all of it. Call it what you will. Awareness, consciousness, self, I. After all, I am seeing, I am hearing, I am thinking, I am remembering, I am enjoying, I am suffering. So this one thing common to all of it, this awareness, this consciousness, the question is about that. Notice the question is not really about our eyes. If you go to a medical college library and you will find shelves and shelves of books, entire departments on ophthalmology, the eyes. It's not an ophthalmology question. How do the eyes function? What are the constituents of the eyes? What are the diseases of the eyes? No, that's not the question. It's not a question about the ear. What's the specialization? Ear, nose, throat. Yes. You will find books and books about it. Degrees in medicine and doctorates and PhDs are about it. It's a huge specialty. Is it a question about ENT? No. Is it a question about the mind? Not even that. But about something that is close and closely implicated with all our sensory, visual experiences, auditory experiences, olfactory experiences, and our mental experiences, emotions, ideas. That's basically our life. All our life is this inner movie we have of a series of experiences. And it's going directly to the heart of this. What makes it all possible? It's question, look at the question. What is that bright being, Deva, that shining thing which makes our life possible? What a great question. It's not a physical question. It's not a question about our sensory systems. It's not even a psychological question. It's a question about consciousness. It's a question about awareness. It's a very sophisticated question. Thousands of years ago, they asked this question, and we'll see the answer. The answer is as remarkable as the question. By the way, just as an aside, yesterday I mentioned how do you deal with these classes, this retreat? 3 things. What did he say? Important. You must listen attentively, seriously. Listen attentively, seriously. Most of the time, we are listening to a voice in our head, and partly only to what's coming from outside. So silence the voice in the head, listen to what's coming, this teaching itself. Then second, we must also engage with the teaching. Is this correct? Is this wrong? Do I get it? What is it that I do not get? What clarification do I need? So that's the second part of it. The third part of it is it true? Is it a fact? What is being claimed here? So in this first session, It's about the first two, the hearing and the reasoning. I will talk about the teaching here. And then you must engage with it. We must ask questions. There will be time for questions. The afternoon session will be the third part of it, making it true, making it living. In the Vedantic terms, this first session is heavy on Shravana Manana, hearing and reasoning. I will talk, you will talk. We will argue. We will reason it out. We'll come to some grasp of what is being said here. But the afternoon session is heavy on the non-dual meditation. I like to call it, I found a term somewhere, experiential knowledge. I like that term because when you say knowledge, it sounds theoretical. Something you learn in a classroom, you learn in a book, you learn in an encyclopedia somewhere. And experience sounds like this, what we are experiencing right now, what we are feeling. But experiential knowledge, you put them together. The knowledge we are speaking about is already experiential. It's already there. What we are talking about, consciousness is already there. Awareness is already there. We are being, our attention, the knowledge is just drawing our attention to something which is already existing. That's why we call it experiential knowledge. And it will be a meditation on this experiential knowledge in the afternoon session. So this is what is ahead of us. Of course, even there also, after that session, there will be, at the end, there will be question answers again. It's a big subject today. Consciousness studies. We are lucky to live in a world at a time when there is renewed interest. Consciousness has always been of interest to human beings throughout it. Of course it is of interest. It's so close to us. It's our very real nature. But now there's renewed interest. Maybe for multiple reasons in the last 20 to 30 years. Christoph Koch, who is the chief scientist of the Paul Allen brain, but now he's in some other post now, in America, he said that when I entered into consciousness studies at the beginning of my career as a neuroscientist, I was told that it's a career killer. It will never go anywhere, you will ruin your career. But luckily today it's a booming field, it's a cutting edge. One reason might be the development of very powerful imaging technologies. So the brain imaging is now at a much more sophisticated and subtle level than it used to be earlier. There's some things called functional fMRI, functional MRI basically. So you can get very close scans of the brain, the living brain in action. Then another reason might be the development of intelligent machines, computers, the internet, and now artificial intelligence. So again, we have got a renewed question now. What does it mean to be human? And therefore, what does it mean to be conscious or aware? Yeah? So these are some reasons. In philosophy, David Chalmers came up with the term hard problem of consciousness. Scientists expected, because the paradigm is everything is matter, everything is energy. Everything is space, time, matter, energy. So consciousness also must be somehow matter. And it seemed quite obvious that consciousness is the brain activity produces consciousness. But strangely enough, we have run into serious problems. Vedanta would say not strangely, very expected. Brain activity is not consciousness. It's implicated in conscious experience, but it's not. It does not produce consciousness. Consciousness cannot be reduced to brain activity. That's the new edge, the frontier of brain science, consciousness studies. Consciousness studies is a booming field now. So the question has been with us for a long time, from the Upanishadic times, and we are asking this question once again now. I was reading Oxford University Press. You can Google it, not now, later. 5 great unsolved questions in philosophy. 5 great unsolved questions in philosophy. Most questions in philosophy are unsolved, by the way. Just It is just a way of boosting their, book sales. But if you look at what they have, Oxford University Press, what they have selected as the 5 great unsolved questions in philosophy. Just look at these questions. You will see 4 out of 5 are directly related to consciousness. Philosophy covers everything. God, reality, world, everything is covered there. Logic in philosophy. But why? In philosophy, 4 out of 5 of the greatest questions they could think about are about consciousness. What are those questions? According to them, first question, is there free will? Free will and consciousness are very closely connected. The mystery of free will, that's one big question. Second, knowledge. How is knowledge possible? Can we know anything at all? The problem of skepticism and knowledge. That's the second question. Third, who am I? That's literally their language. Oxford University Press. Who am I? What is the self? Fourth, what is death? Not in a physical sense. Physical sense, doctors will tell you, lawyers will tell you what is death, physical death. But what is death to the self? You, I, as this conscious being, what will be death for us? Mystery of death for consciousness. Fourth question. And the fifth question was not directly related to consciousness, about justice, about global justice and so. But 4 out of 5 questions are related to consciousness studies in the greatest questions in philosophy. So as that philosopher said, stay with the question. See how brilliant the question is, how deep the question is, how eternal the question is. This is somebody on the banks of Ganga or Saraswati in the river in India 3,000 to 4,000 years ago. It's a student asking the teacher. Unimaginable distance, oceans of time and oceans of space, far, far away. But it's a question which is relevant to us here. We're sitting in Germany in the 21st century, and we are all interested in this question. So he's asking a question which is absolutely at the core of our being. What am I? And is directing our experience not in a theoretical way, in a very visceral, living way. See, you are seeing. See, you are hearing. We are tasting, touching, smelling. You're breathing in and out. You're thinking. You're speaking. I say, so what? What is all this? Not at the physiological level, not at the sensory level, not at the psychological level, even deeper than all of that, at the level of experience, of consciousness, of awareness. What is it? And he gives a beautiful name to it, Devaha, shining being. Often in the Upanishads, the analogy of light is used. What is light? In the Vedantic or Upanishadic view, light is that which removes darkness. So the world is enveloped, the room is enveloped in darkness. You switch on the light and the room is revealed. So this is the light for the room. But the light for this light is your own eyes. Why? Because if your eyes are closed, this will not be revealed. When you open your eyes, this light is revealed. So the light for this light. Otherwise, if you close your eyes, even this light will be hidden in darkness. So your eye is the light for this light. But even the eyes are not the final light, because our mind has to pay attention. Unless some people can do that. They can look blankly at you, but they are not seeing you. Something else is going on in the mind. Some people I have heard, they have even perfected the skill of sleeping with eyes open. It's a great skill. But sleeping, nothing, nobody is there. So the mind is the light for the eyes, not only for the eyes, for the ears, for the nose. Mind is the light which illumines the inputs, sensory inputs. So mind is the light for the senses. And finally the Upanishads will say consciousness is the light of lights. Jyotira Jyoti. Every day when we sing the evening hymn, you will see one line is there. Jyotira Jyoti Ujala Ridikandara, which means light of lights shining in my heart. In my heart means at the core of my being. What is it referring to? It seems to be we are referring to the deity being worshipped here. But it's referring to yourself. What is the light of lights shining in your heart? You, awareness, consciousness. That is what the question is about. About this shining being which is illumining all our experiences, which is at the core, at the heart of our life itself. What is the mystery of this being? What is the mystery of consciousness? What is the mystery of awareness? Whichever word you use. So it is used like light. That's why the word Devaha, light. Now the answer. You'll be like, move on. Okay, I've got it. It's an important question. Let's get on to the answer. Good. Now the answer. And you will notice this Upanishad is amazing. At every mantra it is shocking. It's paradoxical. What is the answer? Shrotrasya shrotram manaso mano yad vachoha vacham sau pranasya pranaha chakshushas chakshuratimuchya dhira pretyasmad lokadamrita bhavanti. Since it is the ear of the ear, the mind of the mind, the speech of the speech, the life of the life, and the eye of the eye, therefore intelligent men, after giving up self-identification with the senses and renouncing this world, become immortal. Okay. Here is the answer. And what a strange answer. It's a remarkable question. The answer is even more remarkable. You want to know how you are hearing, these ears, how do you hear? Well, it is because of the ear of the ear. How are you thinking? Yes, I want to know that. It is because of the mind of the mind. How are you seeing? By now we know the answer. Is it because of the eye of the eye? Yes, you are right. How am I speaking? Is it because of the tongue of the tongue? Yes, speech of the speech? Yes, because of that. It's because how is their life functioning? Because of the life of the life. Now this kind of language. And not only that, before we can understand what's going on here, he hits us with something interesting. He says, if you realize this, if you ascertain what this is, if you can find this out, then you overcome death. You attain to immortality. You go beyond suffering. You attain to limitless fulfillment. You attain to the goal of life. If you can find out what this is, what we are talking about here. The result is mentioned. The teaching is given. The method is given, that you have to ascertain this, you have to find this out. That's the method. And the result of this inquiry is also given in this one answer, one sentence. The rest of the Upanishad and the rest of Vedanta is trying to understand and explain this sentence. Remarkable. But first of all, let's see the teaching itself. If the question is, what is consciousness? A more detailed question. How do I see, hear, smell, taste, touch, or how am I getting these various experiences? Well, the answer should be consciousness. Why didn't he just say so? It is consciousness. There are many words for it in Sanskrit. Directly you could have said, why this kind of elliptical speech? Coming at it sort of indirectly, in a circular fashion, eye of the eye, ear of the ear, mind of the mind, speech of the speech, tongue of the tongue, whatever. Why? There is a reason which will become more and more clear as we go on. But now let us see the unique features of the answer. When the teacher uses the term ear of the ear, eye of the eye, mind of the mind, notice three features of this answer. One feature is, when the question was, how am I hearing, this experience of hearing? The answer was not because of the ears. It is because of the ear of the ear. Therefore, indicating what you are asking is not the physical ears. The answer does not lie in the physical eyes. It does not lie in the physiological prana, life. It does not even lie in the psychological mind. It's not a physiological thing we're talking about, not a physical thing, not a physiological thing, not a psychological thing. To distinguish this, what we are talking about, to distinguish consciousness from body, senses, mind, already a remarkable, just think about it, how dramatic this is. Where is the whole consciousness study stuck today? What's the cutting edge question today in consciousness studies? How can the brain produce consciousness? Already I said it's not the brain. It's not the body. It's not the ear, not the eyes, it's not the body, it's not the brain. They did not know too much about the brain, but in principle they knew it can't be matter. In philosophy classes, old joke, mind, matter. What is mind? No matter. What is matter? Never mind. But beyond mind and matter, is saying there is something beyond mind and matter, and which is not something esoteric, that's much closer home what we are. It's neither matter nor mind. So, it's saying this consciousness we are talking about, it's not the body, that means it's not the brain or the nervous system. It's not even sensory activity, it's not visual activity, not auditory activity, not even that. Already a dramatic thing has been said here. This reducibility of consciousness to the brain, this is the cutting edge of the debate today. Everywhere, if you Google it, hard problem of consciousness, various answers are there. Integrated information theory, Tonini, and many others. Anyway, stuff I was going to say, but it's secret, so I can't say now. I'll tell you in a few months' time. So there are these, public and not so public discussions going on at high-level groups, and I'm just happy to say the cutting-edge physicists in the world, cutting-edge psychologists in the world, and philosophers, including Vedanta, Buddhism, trying to understand what is consciousness. So this is the first thing. Consciousness is not reducible to the brain. The first claim. It's not reducible to the brain. Consciousness is not reducible to sensory activity. Consciousness is not reducible to mind. In fact, in Vedanta, a simple criterion for understanding what is consciousness and what is not consciousness, very simple analytical knife, is that if in our own experience we can label something as this, then it's an object, it's not consciousness. This glass here, since I say this, then this is not consciousness, it's an object presented to consciousness. And when I make a sound, this sound, the sound itself is an object presented to consciousness. The body, can I say this body? Yes. In that case, the body itself is an object presented to consciousness. The breath, can I say this breath? Yes. After all, that's the whole basis, the anchor of mindfulness meditation. Breathing in, I'm aware, I'm breathing out. Breathing out, I'm aware, I'm breathing out. If Vedanta will say, you are aware of the breath? Yes. In that case, the breath is an object and awareness is distinct from that object. It's not the prana. Our sensory experiences, I see you, I hear this speech. So this thing I see, this thing I hear. If you say this, then these are objects, not consciousness. These are presented to consciousness. Thoughts. All thought is intentional. A thought is about something. The moment you say thought is about something, this is sort of fundamental in the philosophy of mind. Thought is intentional. Intentional does not mean intention in our common sense use. Intentional simply means it's about something. It is an object. So if thought is object bearing, is built around an object, then you can say this thought. It's about this object. Then it is not consciousness. What a remarkable thing. In consciousness studies, the question right now is consciousness brain, is it reducible to brain? This is the dispute. But what they don't even ask, consciousness and mind, if you ask consciousness studies people, what do you study? They'll say cognition, memory, perception, self, pain, pleasure. This is the area of study of consciousness studies. But immediately if you apply the Vedantic analytical knife, can you say this thought, this pain, this pleasure, this memory? If you can say that, all of them are objects presented to consciousness. Very elegant. And therefore consciousness is not even mind. This is something not at all understood today in the philosophy of mind, in consciousness studies. The distinction between consciousness and mind. All of this he has already said by using the language eye of the eye, mind of the mind, speech of the speech. First thing. This is first thing. 3 distinctions. 1. Second, it is not entirely different. He could have said X of the ear, X of the eye. No, he says ear of the ear, eye of the eye. That means something very closely implicated with our auditory, visual, mental experiences. That means wherever we are thinking, wherever we are seeing, whenever we are hearing, in those experiences, consciousness is present right there. It's not different in the sense of this is hearing and there is something else called consciousness. No, it's right there. It's distinct from hearing and seeing and smelling and tasting and thinking and feeling and imagining and remembering, but it's present in all those things. So consciousness is immanent, pervading all our experiences. It's present right there in our own experiences. That's why he's using the term ear of the ear, eye of the eye, mind of the mind, speech of the speech. So that's the second thing. Consciousness is present there in and through all our experiences. I like the example of our electrical appliances, When these appliances, the light, which is giving us light here, the microphone amplifying sound, the camera capturing and transmitting images. When they were in the shop, the light did not give light. The microphone did not amplify sound. The camera did not capture pictures. The clock did not tell time. In the shop, in the box, when you take them out, plug them in or put a battery in, they start doing things. What they do is very different. This is doing something different. This is doing something different. The blinds, they're also doing something different. They're all doing different things. But if you ask, what is that one thing which got into them, which made them do these different things, which they were not doing earlier? We all know the answer. Electricity. Electricity does not give light, but in conjunction with the bulb, it gives light. Electricity does not amplify sound, but in conjunction with the microphone, it amplifies sound. So it is the one thing which got into the bulb, the microphone, the clock, and the camera. Can we say it is the light of the light, it is the microphone of the microphone, it is the clock of the clock, it is the camera of the camera? We can say that in that sense. These instruments are designed to do different things, but they require that electricity to be able to. This is just an example. It's not a very good example also. There is something more to it in consciousness and all our sensory experiences. So that's the second thing. Consciousness is something distinct from the sense body, the senses, the mind, but yet it is present in all the physical, physiological, sensory, psychological experiences. It's present right there. It pervades these experiences. Third point I want to point out. It's there in this language. What are we doing? We are exploring why there's such a strange language. Ear of the ear, eye of the eye, mind of the mind, speech of the... Third thing which we can take away, ears, eyes, mind, speech, life, prana, they're all different from each other, and there are many. But the language which is used is by whom or by what? By whom? One. So by using the word ear of the ear, eye of the eye, mind of the mind, speech of the speech, breath of the breath, it is pointing out that there is one thing common to all of this. Consciousness is one. Eyes, ears, speech, they are all many. Devices, many. Electricity, one. It's one reality. Consciousness is one reality. These are all big questions. I'll give you an example why these are all controversial. For example, you can disagree with this. There was a great mathematician who has passed away a few years ago, Marvin Minsky. He was at MIT, I think, or at Harvard, MIT, I think. So I just heard a talk by him where he says there is no problem of consciousness. There's only the problem of sight, of hearing, of thinking, of remembering, cognition, memory. And we don't understand what these things are, and we put it in one basket and call it consciousness. There is no such thing as, single entity called consciousness. And this one, what the Upanishad is saying, is actually contradicting Marvin Minsky. It says, no, there is one thing. Behind all this, there is one thing. So, these are the three. Did you want to say something? So these are the three things that we take away from the language. Eye of the eye, ear of the ear, mind of the mind, speech of the speech. What are the three things? One, it's something distinct from the body, the senses, the mind. Not body. That means not brain. Not senses. Not even mind. Consciousness is none of these. Second, it's right there. In our physical, sensory, mental experiences, consciousness is right there, enabling those experiences. Third, it is one. Unlike what Minsky claims, no, it is one. Consciousness is one reality. And then the claim is that the one who realizes this transcends this body. The transcends is a very interesting word. Transcending means while being here, yet you are beyond. Transcending does not mean this is the earth and the spacecraft has gone to the moon, so that is transcended the earth. No, not in that sense. You are right here, and yet you are not affected by any of this. You are beyond this. Consciousness, the claim is, if you realize what consciousness is, what awareness is, while remaining in this life, while seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, while walking and talking and engaging with life, while thinking, enjoying, remembering, all of that, yet you're somehow transcending all of this. The one who realizes. Then what will be the result? The result will be that twofold result is given. Atimuchya dhira pretya asmad lokad amrita bhavanti. While being here in this life, one is free of body-mind, in the sense that you are no longer affected by the ups and downs of life. You are freed while living. This is later Vedanta invented a term for it. Jivan Mukta, free while living. That became the goal of Vedanta. Not freedom after death. Yes, freedom after death, but also now, right now. Can I get the benefit of all this right now? Yes, answer is yes. So, and also after the death of the body. Yes, there's a subtle Sanskrit interpretation there. Transcending, Pretya means leaving behind this world, or it could mean transcending this body. Loka, in two meanings. One is this world, this life, or it means this body. While being in the body, you transcend the body. Sri Ramakrishna, 1886, terminally ill with cancer. One day his disciple, Harinath, who later became a great Vedantic master, Swami Turiyanandaji, asks him, "Sir, how are you feeling today?" Terminally ill, cancer patient, dying. Within a few months he would be dead. He says, "Oh, it hurts." Gives a typical answer, what any cancer patient would say. "It hurts, I can't eat." But for some reason the young man said, "Sir, I see that you are in great bliss." What a strange observation. He must have seen something. But the strangest of all is the response from Sri Ramakrishna. He laughed and he said, "Oh, the rascal has found me out." The rascal has found me out. You fellow, you have understood. You have seen through me. Now, what does that mean? Is he not experiencing pain? Yes, he is, like any other cancer patient. And yet there is something deeper than that which enables him to transcend that pain. That he can say that I am fulfilled at joy and in peace right here in this body dying of cancer. In this body when I am experiencing pain and great discomfort, I am still fine, absolutely fine. That's the distinction between, say, an ordinary terminally ill cancer patient and an enlightened person. The free while living. What is this free while living? It enables us to transcend the conditions of this body-mind while being in this body-mind. And then also, after the death of this body, one attains to bodiless liberation. So these are two terms used in Vedanta. Jivan Mukti, Videha Mukti. Jivan Mukti, free while living. Videha Mukti, freedom after the final liberation after death. From the perspective of the enlightened one, no difference. I am limitless awareness, free here, free then. How? Just by noticing what you are. That's all. Just by noticing and appreciating what you are. Of course, we'll put a fine print. And the Upanishad also has cleverly put in one word, Dhira. Who? Me. Well, there's a word used, Dhiraha, the heroic ones, the patient ones, the qualified ones. And here, of course, I have to mention my duty as a teacher, that there's a list of qualifications. If you hear this, you will feel depressed. Who is fit to study and get the benefits of this Vedanta? We are. We signed up for the retreat, so we are fit. In one sense, yes. But fit means in the sense, if you do study this, if you do make this inquiry, will you get the benefit, promised benefit? For that, certain qualifications are required. And the qualifications are, I'll just run through the list. Viveka, the discernment between the eternal and the non-eternal. This clarity that there is some eternal reality. And you might say, yeah, okay, I agree, I have it. All right, if you think so. And then, next, Vairagya, a tremendous dispassion for worldliness. That which I decided is non-eternal, passing, inconsequential, I have a dispassion for it. No attachment there. Swami Vivekananda says, the beginning of spirituality is renunciation. He says all the yogas, this is exact quote, the turning point in all the yogas is renunciation. And then he gives what renunciation is required. In Karma Yoga, the turning point is the renunciation of selfishness. When we turn away from all selfish motives to selflessness, then it becomes Karma Yoga. In Bhakti Yoga, we give up all desire for the world, 100 desires for the world, for one almighty love of God. Then it becomes Bhakti Yoga. Raja Yoga, the meditation, way of meditation, He says the way of meditation is to give up the desire for all experience. You see, I see, hear, smell, taste, touch. Stop. No, there's nothing for me to see, hear, smell, taste, touch. Stop. Okay, but I will think and imagine. Stop. What a great renunciation. A renunciation of all experience. There's nothing here in this world to experience, to see, hear, smell, taste, touch for me. There is nothing to think about. There is nothing to remember. There is nothing to desire. There is nothing to project and plan. There is nothing to regret. I myself, nothing what noticing in this I myself. Utterly stop the activities of the mind. What a great renunciation is required there. Then only meditation starts. That's the beginning of meditation. That is the renunciation of the Raja Yogi, of the meditator. And then finally he says the way of the Jnana Yogi, this one where we are engaged. From the very beginning itself you have to say the entire universe is an appearance. Dismiss the whole universe, the objective universe and the subject also. Then you are plunged into the reality. That's the beginning of Advaita Vedanta. So this is the renunciation which is required. But one must have at least a graduated. And then comes the disciplines, the sixfold treasure. Shamaha, quietude of the mind. Damaha, control of the body and the senses. Then titiksha, a spiritual fortitude, strength that I will go through with whatever difficulties are presented on the spiritual path, but I will not give up my spiritual quest. How much trouble we undergo to raise a family. How much trouble we undergo to get a degree. How much trouble we undergo to get and hold on to a job or a career. So that kind of toughness is necessary for spiritual life. Not more than that. That much is enough. That I will go through with this spiritual quest. Then samadhana. Uparati. Then uparati. Uparati means a withdrawal from too much engagement with the world. In fact, some of the commentators say at this point, the real meaning of uparati is you must become a monk formally. That's not necessary, but one of the interpretations is that. At this point, before opening the book, become a monk formally for the rest of your life. No more connection with the world. So that kind of turning away from the world. Then samadhana, tremendous focus. This Upanishad, I'll hold on to this. Listen. Think about it, think it through. Notice that reality and meditate upon it. That is samadhana, focus, a tremendous focus. And there some of the commentators say, what kind of focus is required? Up to the attainment of yogic samadhi. Attain samadhi, then open Vedanta. It's not an exaggeration. If you see, when Totapuri comes and teaches Sri Ramakrishna, already he is samadhi one. He has his daily samadhi and visions of Kali and Savikalpa samadhi is already attained. Many times over. So it's not some kind of academic exaggeration, theoretical. It's actually demonstrated in the life of someone like Sri Ramakrishna. And then, any more? What a list. Shraddha, and tremendous unshakable faith in the text, in the teacher. Although I don't get it now, I am not enlightened now, but I know this is true and I will try to get and become enlightened. That kind of unshakable faith. And then finally, last one, fourth. We are on the third so far. Third, sixfold treasure. Shamaha, 1. Damaha, 2. Titiksha, 3. Uparati, 4. Samadhana, 5. Shraddha, 6. Then the fourth one is mumukshutvam, intense desire for enlightenment, for freedom. Intense desire for freedom. You say, count me out, I'm going back home. You can ask the Swami for, can I get a refund? This Upanishad will make you ask for a refund another time. Few times it will make you ask. This is not for me. And yet there is hope. Why there is hope? One teacher, I didn't notice actually, one teacher, monk in Haridwar. No, yes, Haridwar. He pointed this out. Said, Mahatma ji, Shvetaketu ko dekhiye. Look at Chandogya Upanishad, the student who was told, you are that Tattvamasi. Famously, at the source of our Vedanta. Who is the student? Shvetaketu. One of the worst students you can think about. What are his qualifications? He is arrogant. That is the first thing we notice about him. This Upanishad says he is full of pride of his knowledge. And then his father asks him, did you know this knowledge? Was this taught to you at school? This boy, he criticizes his teachers, Guru Ninda, one of the highest, greatest sins. No, they don't, I don't think they knew. They didn't teach me. Is he qualified for Vedanta? And yet he is taught and he becomes enlightened. So, don't be scared. There is such a thing as grace. These are qualifications. This makes it clear what kind of development we must pursue in ourselves to become enlightened. That's the goal. That's the point. But are we qualified? Yes. Ramana Maharshi was asked, after somebody must have read all these things, these qualifications, and asked, am I qualified for your teaching? He would teach, who am I? Inquire, who am I? Am I qualified for who am I? And Ramana Maharshi said, did you say I? If you can say I, you can ask who am I? All of us are qualified then. If you can say I, yes, I, then you can find out I of the I. So am I qualified for I of the I? Yes, I can say I. Therefore I have a right to know what is the I of the I. Who am I? I have a right to know that. So we are all qualified in that sense. And in general also, if you see the distinction, the discernment of the eternal and the non-eternal, if we didn't have it to some extent, why would we even sign up? Why would we be interested in spiritual life? And many of us, most of us, we have been interested in spiritual life for years. If we didn't have a certain amount of dispassion, why on a weekend in Berlin would you spend time studying a 4,000-5,000 year old philosophy? You have some dispassion for the world. The pull of the world is not strong enough to pull you away from the retreat. So we have dispassion. And the control over ourselves, to the extent that you are sitting for hours and hours listening to abstract, dry philosophy, well, a lot of control. We are to be commended. So we have, to some extent, definitely we have. The idea of that single word, all of this what I am saying is contained in the single word in the Upanishads, dhiraha. To the extent that I measure up to that word, enlightenment is guaranteed. One Swami, one master said, if we have those qualifications and you come to Vedanta, enlightenment is guaranteed. If we do not have those sufficient amount of those qualifications and we come to Vedanta, we will leave after feeling that I learnt a nice philosophy. Are you enlightened? No, I don't think so. So, either way. So, dhiraha, who is qualified? What is the result? Freedom from all suffering, attainment of fulfillment, right here, right now. And after death, the bodiless liberation. That is the result. What is the teaching? Find out that. Eye of the eye, ear of the ear. So now we say, good, sign me up. I am ready to find out the eye of the eye, ear of the ear. Please go on, teach me. Upanishad, very shocking. He will give another thunderbolt next mantra. We are ready. Yes, master, please teach me the eye of the eye, ear of the ear, nose of the nose, mind of the mind, speech of the speech. Please teach me. The master says, na tatra chakshur gacchati na vag gacchati no manaha na vidmo na vijanimo yatheta danushishyad. Says, please teach me, master. I can't. What? Why can't you teach me? You know, right? You are enlightened. You know. I say, I don't know. Na vidmaha. We don't know. You don't know what you're talking about? No. We will see in the Upanishad later on. In fact, that is the right answer. But at first it seems shocking. Why did you advertise that we are going to teach you eye of the eye? You say you don't know the eye of the eye? No, we don't. Navidmaha. Anybody else? In the Berlin area, who knows? Can we go there? Na vijanimo yatheita danushishyat. We don't know of anybody else also. Any other school, any other lineage who can teach you this. But give me the technique, I will try it out myself. Yatheita danushishyat. How it is to be taught, what is the procedure to follow, that also we don't know. Why not? This is very disappointing. He says, na tatra chakshur gacchati na vag gacchati no manaha. He says, it is not something that you can find with your senses. You can't see. It literally means the eyes do not go there. The speech does not objectify it. The mind cannot think about it. Therefore, we don't know. So, when he says eyes do not objectify it, what it means is it's not available for sensory experience. That eye of the eye, it cannot be seen by the eyes, it cannot be heard by the ears, it cannot be smelled by the nose, it cannot be tasted by the tongue, it cannot be touched by the skin. Can I attain it by doing something? Na vag gacchati. Speech cannot express. Speech stands for all the motor organs. You can't walk to it. Can I go on a pilgrimage and to attain to the ultimate reality, consciousness, eye of the eye? No. Can I catch hold of it? Catch hold of it. I remember one monk, brahmachari, novice was there years ago. Very intense, very intense. He had a frown on his face all day long. I'm sure he had a frown on his face when he was sleeping also. And he would never smile. And he would rush around. He had no time to waste. Even while eating, he was memorizing the Gita or something. So once he went to wash. I saw after food, he was going and washing his dish there. The way he was doing it intensely, opening the tap. And then the Swami, who's the head of our ashram, he was saying, look, the way he is doing it, he's going to grasp Brahman. You're going to catch hold of Brahman. The way he's catching hold of the tap. Can I do that? No. Can I catch hold of Brahman? No. Can I walk to Brahman? No. Can it be expressed by speech? You're talking. This is speech, right? Upanishad is speech, so it can be expressed, right? Just tell me. Words cannot express it. Why? See, all of these things are very deep. Why words can't express it? Then how are you talking about it? The whole philosophy of language comes in there. What can language do? What language cannot do? Why it cannot refer to consciousness? And then further, how is the Vedanta talking about it then? What are the strategies of getting around this obstacle? So many interesting things are there here. If you want, in the question answer, we can talk about it. But we must stick to our our focus. Like the student is very focused. I want to become enlightened. We'll keep the philosophy for later on. You sure you can't teach me? No. Nobody else? No. Give me the method? No. He's hopeless. And then the teacher comes. See, the Upanishad is dramatic. Then the next mantra, the teacher says, wait a minute. There is a way. I knew it. Tell me the way. He says, Anyadeva tad viditadatho aviditadadhi iti shushruma purvesham yenastadvyachachakshire. That Brahman is surely different from the known, and again it is above the unknown. Such was the utterance we heard from the ancient teachers who explained it to us. There is a way. And this way has been transmitted down the lineage of teachers. Who is saying this? 3,000 to 4,000 years ago. He says the ancient teachers have taught us. So the knowledge far precedes this teacher. It's been taught from teacher to student. I can transmit it to you. Let's see if it works. I will tell you and watch you carefully, enlightened or not enlightened. What is the chain reaction, chemical reaction taking place. So what is that teaching? As has been taught by the lineage of teachers. He takes no credit for it. Unlike modern teachers, it is my realization. I have come to it. Nobody ever thought of it earlier. It's absolutely novel. From the Vedantic perspective, the moment you make, they don't realize, the moment you make such claims, absolutely novel. Nobody thought of it earlier. The Vedantic response will be absolutely useless. So, one student came to a monk. I'll tell you in Hindi what the original thing was and then translate. He came to a monk and he said, I was a student of this master who has taught me stuff which is not there in your Vedanta or the Vedas, in any ancient traditions, all absolutely new. My guru has taught me this. And the monk said, why are you abusing your guru? In Hindi he said, "Kahe guru ko gali deta hai?" It's a term of abuse from a Vedantic perspective. If you say, my guru has taught me something which is not there in any tradition, in any scripture, then you don't realize it's an insult. You're insulting your guru. The greatness of the guru is in transmitting this ancient knowledge in its pristine form so that it works upon you as it has worked upon him, hopefully, and in the lineage of transmission from teacher to student going back to time immemorial. So, he says, not my credit. I have received it from my teachers, from this ancient lineage, and I am transmitting it to you. Let's see if it works. What is that teaching? Again, by now you must be aware, once bitten, twice shy. So the Upanishad is not going to give us a straight answer. It says, this is the teaching. It is other than the known, it is other than the unknown. Find out that which is other than the known and other than the unknown. One of the most profound sentences in all Upanishadic literature. The more we will excavate this, more we will dig into it. Consciousness, awareness, or the self. Moment you say it is other than the known, then clearly you are saying that it's not an object of knowledge. And yet you're teaching me how to become enlightened, how to know it. Then what is the usual way of knowing, and then in what sense do we know the self? Because it's not other than the known. And yet it is not unknown. See, our binary is, everything is, either we know it, there's a slice of the universe which we say this is our knowledge, and the rest of it is unknown. Right now I can't see what's behind me. You can see what's behind me. I can see what's in front of me. When I turn around, now I know what's behind me. And it has again become unknown to me. At least unseen to me. Similarly, there is a slice of the universe which I see, hear, smell, taste, touch, which I think about, which I remember, which I understand, which I have mastered it, some part of the universe, some kind of knowledge. That is the known for me. And here the master says, none of it is the self, none of it is consciousness. All right, then there's a vast part of the universe which I don't know. He says, none of that also is consciousness. But that's all that there is. The known and the unknown. A and not A. It exhausts the universe. What's beyond this? Either members of this set or not members of this set. What else is there? Here it is. So one might think that, so does it not exist? Self, consciousness, is it not real? Does it not exist? And yet it does. Because the one thing that we can be sure of is that I exist. Descartes' great discovery, right here. Descartes, we are all We all study Descartes because in school we have all studied Cartesian, x, y, Cartesian plane, x, y, z coordinates. But besides being a mathematician, he was a great philosopher. And he's famous for, in the Cartesian meditations, he's famous for that very insightful line, cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I exist. The cogito ergo sum means I think, therefore I exist. What was his project? His whole goal was, can I put knowledge upon firm foundations? It's a very interesting area of study. In those days, they were looking for the certitude of knowledge. They were very interested in geometry. That's why Spinoza, another neighbor, his whole ethics is like a geometry treatise. That you can derive one thing from the other, everything will be certain, like mathematics, like geometry. So can I put all human knowledge, science and religion and all of that on firm foundations? So how to do that? First of all, start by what is called universal skepticism. Doubt whatever can be doubted. What can be doubted? I am here sitting and seeing all of you. Is this real or not? It can be doubted. I may be dreaming. It may be the Matrix movie. Who knows? So all of it can be doubted. But then he found one thing which cannot be doubted, even if you try. What is that? My own existence. Even to doubt my own existence. Do I exist? I have asked the question, therefore I exist. You cannot doubt your own existence. Try it. You can doubt everything else. Could be a dream, could be a delusion, could be a hallucination. But I am existing. My existence can be a dream. Then I exist. That's why I can say that. So, cogito ergo sum. That was Descartes' great discovery. 600 years before Descartes, 700 years before Descartes, Shankaracharya writes, Yaiva tasya nirakarta tasyaiva atmasa. Whoever denies the existence of the self, it is the self of that very one. When the nihilist comes to debate in Panchadashi, who says there is no such self, then the author of Panchadashi, Vidyaranya Swami, says, in half humorously, he says, then I need not debate you because you don't exist. You say self does not exist, so you don't exist. Why should I debate an opponent who doesn't exist? Anyway, this is sort of half humorously. You cannot ultimately deny the existence of the self. You can doubt the existence of God. You're an atheist, but you nobody has seriously doubted their own existence. Whether the self is body, whether the self is mind, whether the self is consciousness, those things can be doubted. Whether the self is a series of flashes of consciousness, the Buddhist mind-only school says that. Whether the self is limitless awareness, Vedanta says that. Those things can be debated. But I am, I exist, nobody can doubt seriously. So it is other than the known, other than the unknown. See what is being said here, other than the known. Who am I? Our first answer is the body. Is the body known? Yeah, it's known. I can see it, I can touch it, I can smell it, I can hear the rumbling in my tummy, I can taste it. All the senses objectify the body. The body is known, known, known. And the Upanishad says it is other than the known. So you, the self, is not the body. Then I am this person, these thoughts, memories, my story, my whole personality. Is it known? Are you aware of it? Of course, it is I. If it is known, then you are not it. Freud will say, no, the real determinant is the subconscious, which is unknown to you. From there, all that you know, your thoughts, feelings, emotions, impulses, they are bubbling up from the great unknown. Is that unknown? Upanishad says, yes, then you are not it. It's there. We are not denying it. There is the vast known and even vaster unknown. But neither of it you are. Freud said famously that humanity has been humiliated 3 times. First humiliation was Copernicus, who said people thought we are the center of the universe. Copernican revolution. Earth is not the center of the universe. There is the sun, and then later on we discovered stars and galaxies. Earth is a tiny, insignificant place in this universe, a little speck of dust in the vastness of space and time. First humiliation, you are not the center of the universe, you are insignificant. Second humiliation, that we are the greatest creation of God, human beings created in the image of God. Darwin came and said, you are in the image of a monkey. You are in the image of a chimpanzee, not in the image of God. You are animals. We are animals evolved from the primordial slime into this position. Second great humiliation. Not in the image of God, in the image of chimps. Second great humiliation. Third, we still said, all right, we are animals, but we have the definition. I remember in school reading definition of human being, the rational animal. We are rational animal. Everybody, all other animals are irrational. Freud said, I came and showed you, your rationality is like the scum on the surface of a lake. Deep underneath is a whole ocean of irrationality. Impulses, instincts, anger, lust, greed, regrets, guilt, perversions, steaming in the darkness below. So-called rationality is just the tip of the iceberg. Not at all rational. So, three great humiliations. Unknown, our real nature lies in the unknown. Upanishad says, no. Is it unknown? Yes. Then it's not your real nature. It's neither the known nor the unknown. But you are there. What is the known? Body is the known. You are not the body. Breath is the known. Prana, you are not the breath. Because it is known. Mind is the known. Thoughts, emotions, desires, personality. You are not it. Beyond mind, beyond intellect, the blankness, the depths of not our conscious life, that blankness, that depth, deep sleep, or the Freudian subconscious, if you will, the great unknown, that also you are not. Yet you are. When you say you are other than the known, other than the unknown, later in Vedanta you will see Pancha Kosha Viveka, the method of the 5 layers of the human personality: physical, physiological, psychological, intellectual, and the depths of the unknown. All of them you are not. The waking, the dreaming, the deep sleep, all of them you are not. They are all known or unknown. Then what are you? You are. There is only one thing which is neither the known nor the unknown. Think about it. It is the self. It is you. It is to you that something is known, and it is to you the rest is unknown. But what is it about myself which is other than the known, other than the unknown? What I think about myself, I will use this knife, known and unknown, to cut away in my understanding, analyze my own existence. Am I a physical being, biological being? Am I a psychological being? What am I? I'll find all of that is known or unknown. Then the only thing you are left with is you are, you exist. It's also a shining existence because you are aware. After all, you are the ear of the ear, the eye of the eye, the mind of the mind, the speech of the speech. You are that light. So this existence awareness I am, but to this you can never put a this. The moment you put a this, it becomes object. Known object, unknown object. So many questions will come up from this if you stay with this, other than the known, other than the unknown. I'm sure that I exist. Then you know you exist. How do you know? If it is other than the known, other than the unknown. How is the self known? How is consciousness known? How is anything known? It is by consciousness alone. Consciousness plus object is knowledge, is experience. Consciousness channeled through the mind and an instrument of knowledge. See, I see this book. I know this book means I see this book. So, I am aware, channeled through the mind, channeled through the sense organs called the eyes, and the object is there, the form of the book. I know the book. You say, I hear your speech, Swami. So, you are knowing my speech. So, you, the awareness, channeled through the mind, through the ears, listening to the speech, I know it. This is called knowledge. But how is consciousness itself known? Consciousness plus instruments of knowledge will give you, an object will give you knowledge about an object. And if you remove the object from the range of the instruments, I put the book behind me, I don't get that knowledge. It's unknown now. It is known, it is unknown. But the consciousness itself, to which the book is known and to which the book is unknown, that consciousness, how is it being known? There is this great, these are all books, and books have been written on this. Centuries of effort have gone into it. The teaching of self-luminosity, swaprakasha. Consciousness is not known as an object. It is self-luminous, it's self-revealing. Like a light illumines and removes darkness and reveals all things in darkness. But to know that light, you don't have to switch on another light. That's an example. You still have to open your eyes. So, light, just in the way light is self-luminous with regard to other lights, it just reveals itself. You don't need another light to. Similarly, that's the example. Similarly, consciousness is unique. It is self-luminous. That's why it's called the light of lights. And then a lot of debate is there. What is meant by self-luminosity? A huge, huge topic. It is other than the known, other than the unknown. All right. Let me leave it here, and time for some reasoning. A little bit of hearing has been done. The core teachings have been heard. Now some reasoning, questions, objections, observations. Raise your hand. How will you do? You'll send the microphone. You have to aggressively raise your hand. Yes. So he will come to you with the microphone. You have to make yourself seen.
Pranam.
Not unknown.
Pranam Swamiji, Rajoshi here.
Yes.
So this statement that it is other than the known and other than the unknown, and the statement that it is common to both known and unknown,
Yes.
are they equivalent? Or like, and the other part of the question is that where lies the known and the unknown? What makes, what enables knowledge?
Yes. So what enables knowledge? I just spoke about it. Consciousness enables knowledge. That's why it was called, what is knowledge? Seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, understanding, remembering, all these are experiences. What enables these experiences? Consciousness. That's why it's called eye of the eye, ear of the ear. The materialist will say, what enables experiences? Eyes, ears, brain, nervous system. The Upanishad will say, no. It is the eye of the eye, ear of the ear, brain of the brain. So, consciousness enables knowledge, experience, knowledge. Here we must be careful. In our age, the age we are living in, there are machines and systems which gather knowledge without being conscious. The camera is recording stuff. And if you add an AI to it, it will analyze what is recorded and gather a lot of information about it. There are AI agents roaming around which are extracting information from whatever we do online or even physically without being online. All the cameras which are recording us, our own mobile phones which are listening to us. Isn't that knowledge? Yes, it's certainly knowledge. It's big knowledge. It's what is called big data. So it is big knowledge. Companies are paying billions of dollars for that data. But that knowledge, we are distinguishing, Upanishad distinguishes it from seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. There is one thing that distinguishes. That kind of knowledge. In one sense, you can say the camera is seeing, the microphone is hearing, your phone is seeing and hearing, yet there is something lacking there. That bright being which is talked about here, which gives us the experience of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, enjoying, suffering, that is not there in the camera, in the microphone, in the phone, in the AI. It's not there. Is AI conscious? Can AI be conscious? Big question now. That's why you see why consciousness studies has become a hot subject these days. Clearly, right now, AI is not conscious. You will say, who are you? Who made you an expert? The Americans will say, who died and made you king of AI? No, I don't know anything about AI. But you ask the experts themselves, have you programmed your AI to be conscious? If you see how they program the AI, I was taken to labs, robotics labs, AI, where AI work is going on. It's so painstaking, so hard. It takes so many grad students, so many PhD students, so many scholars, the professors, and multi-billion-dollar labs where these machines and AIs are trained. So if you ask a question there, how much of this effort are you putting into making this robot or this AI conscious? You know what the answer will be? Zero. Zero. Some of the students and professors may be interested in marginally what is consciousness. But if you see the actual work that is going on the ground, none of it has any connection with consciousness. But it has connection with seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. In fact, I went to a lab when this work is going on, cutting edge lab in the United States. I won't say any more because I don't know what is secret and what's not secret, and they'll stop me at the border and tell me to get out. So, but I'll say this much. When I was seeing how the robots are being trained, how the robots are being trained, what struck me was when I was seeing how the robots are, they're being trained to recognize an environment, to deal with an environment, and AI, they are all AI boosted. What struck me was, Keneshitam padati preshitam mana, kena prana prathama preti yukta, keneshitam vacham imam vadanti, chakshu shrotram kaudeva yunakti. The question which the student asked 4,000 years ago, that becomes even more sharp now. Here are machines and AI agents which are replicating, duplicating, mimicking human activity, and not child's play. In fact, they are very serious. It's a multi-billion dollar defense. Okay, I let out the secret anyway. And business and academic effort. Yet, at no point is that shining being being invoked anywhere there. Which was so stunning for me to see that our latest developments in technology are reaffirming this question, that this distinction between consciousness and all these activities. So right now our technology is mimicking algorithms, replicating all this seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, speaking, all of these are being replicated very nicely by AI and all these machines, except one thing, consciousness. How strange. Not only it is not being replicated, if you ask those people, the most brilliant minds working in AI, about consciousness in AI, they will say, we have no idea what you are talking about. We know what is consciousness because we are conscious. But what exactly is it operationally defined? We have no idea. We have no idea where to begin also. They are demonstrating you can have, for practical purposes, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, even cognizing, without consciousness. But then you will not have the experience of those things. After all, if you go to a tap and put your hand under in the airport, water will come out. You go near the door, door will open. So the senses can do that. Is there any consciousness behind it? No. That light is lacking there. What is this? So the teacher's answer, 3 points, it is distinct from the ear, and eyes and mind. That is being validated by our latest technology. Otherwise, I would use the contrary idea that suppose not only AI could do all that, AI also became conscious. Then we could have said, yeah, see, that these are all processes which are replicable. Therefore, the brain is what the brain is doing. We are doing on a hardware, physical hardware, on a silicon substrate. What your brain is doing on a carbon substrate, we are doing it on a silicon substrate. Now it is explained. But the fact that we can replicate everything, something as intimate as seeing, as touching, as talking, interacting with human beings. They showed me a AI dog which played and danced with students. It's open, it's not secret. It's Boston Dynamics sells it for $250,000. It's $250,000 dog. Yeah. It can do all that without being conscious. That means consciousness is distinct from all of this. It already validates the first part of that insight. I will leave it at that. It is that to which things are known and that to which things are unknown. Yeah. Anyone? Yes.
Pranam Maharaj, Tathagata here. So we understood 3 takeaways about consciousness, that it is not mind or senses or brain.
Not the body.
Not the body.
Not the senses.
Yeah.
Not the mind.
And then it is right there and it is one.
It is one.
So now I have a question about this third point. So when you say it is one, so what do you mean? So I of I and you of you being, so the is consciousness discrete? Or it's just the same consciousness?
So these are things which we will take slowly. I'll give you the answer first. I'm not like the Rishi of the Upanishad who will give you an elliptical answer. I'll give you a straight answer. But a straight answer is often a useless answer. This answer is very useful. It will guide you further in your investigation. The straight answer is, according to Advaita Vedanta, consciousness is not discrete. There is only one consciousness. The I of the I is the same I in all eyes. The you of the you and the I of the I is the same I. Very interestingly, when we all say I, interesting, when I say this book, I say this book and you say this book, both of us mean the same book. When I say book, Kena Upanishad book, that's the term we are using, we mean the same thing. But when we say I, we are using one word, same word, but we all each mean something different. Vedanta says, Advaita Vedanta says, actually it is the same thing that you are referring to. If you would know the I of the I, it is the one I in all eyes. Krishna saying in the 13th chapter, his teaching to Arjuna, in every field, O Arjuna, there is a knower of the field. That means each body is a field. Each body, mind, sensory system is a field. And in that there is a knower of the field. There is a conscious being there. And then he goes on, stunning statement. In all fields there is only one knower of the field. And that is I. Krishna says, I am that. So there is one consciousness shining as if. Then later on he says, undivided in all sentient beings, appearing, behaving as if divided. What is he talking about? Us. But we have to be careful there. This is Advaita Vedanta. Sankhya will say, no, there are different consciousnesses in each body-mind. Consciousness is discrete from body-mind, but then it is discrete from each other also. Consciousness is the same type of thing, but there are many consciousnesses. Schrödinger said the consciousness is singular for which there is no plural. But Sankhya says, Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, they will all say consciousness is multiple. Advaita Vedanta says consciousness is one. And it's not just says, these are well argued out positions. One more question. We have somebody, the gentleman there. We'll come back to you later on. Yes.
Yes. Thank you for the wonderful talk. As you mentioned, consciousness is channeled by the mind, and then through the senses we perceive the world. yet consciousness is self-luminous, so would that mean that consciousness is eventually the channel and the reflection, and basically the whole process is just consciousness doing it by itself?
Consciousness is self-luminous in the sense it is self-revealing. It reveals the other. You can't have any experience without consciousness. So that's the meaning of luminosity. Luminosity is that which removes darkness, which reveals. And for experiencing consciousness, you don't need another consciousness. Consciousness reveals itself and reveals the universe. So look at what's going on here. It is consciousness functioning through the senses and the mind, which is revealing this universe to me. But in the process, consciousness is manifesting itself as the revealer. Imagine, I like the example of a comet at night. A comet's blazing tail at night. Have you seen pictures? Or I have seen the actual comets also. In the night sky, you can see. Going through space, racing through space. When it comes into our solar system at a certain position, the tail of the comet is lit up by sunlight. Now, it's not that the comet has a light of its own. It's being lit up by the sunlight which already existed in that space through which the comet is traveling. But when the comet was not there, that space looked black. When the comet traveled through it, it lights up the comet. Now, what does the light do for the comet, and what does the comet do for the light? The light reveals the comet, illumines the comet. You can see at night the comet and the tail of the comet. Brilliant display. But what does the comet do for the light? It reflects, it manifests. What was there, light was there already before the comet, but it looked dark because there was nothing to reflect it. It becomes obvious now that the comet makes the light obvious. Our experiences make consciousness obvious. Our experiences, objects, manifest consciousness. Both the known and the unknown. The known manifests consciousness as I know this, conscious experience. The unknown manifests consciousness as I don't know that. But consciousness is manifested in both cases. The object, known and unknown, manifests consciousness, and consciousness illumines the object. When it does so through instruments of knowledge, we say we know the object. When it does so as an absence of knowledge, we say we don't know the object. But in both cases, we are conscious. Consciousness illumines the object manifests consciousness. Now, what you're asking was different. Is the mind, the brain, the object, are they all in consciousness? That will be the ultimate position of Advaita Vedanta, but we'll go there later on. All right, let's bring this to a close. The next session will be a very different kind of session. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.